Brilliant. So we're here in Maesteg Quins Rugby Club, and I'm here with the Ronan family. So I'm just going to let you introduce yourselves.
So I'm Dean Ronan, the lead candidate for the Afan Ogwr Rhondda constituency seat.
My name's Harper.
And my name's Chloe and I'm Dean's wife.
Great. So we're going to just focus in on the role that sport plays in terms of physical and mental health. And to hear your thoughts. You're both very involved in sports, and I know Harper is as well. So, you know, we want more money really to come into sports because we can see the value of it in terms of mental health and physical health. So, yeah, Chloe, what are your thoughts from your perspective on that?
There's a couple of different thoughts really, because as in my role as a mother, in my role as being involved in sport myself when I played netball, sort of semi-professionally on at the age grade level, but also as a teacher as well, and seeing the impact the sport has with young people, especially in the area that I'm in, sort of age 11 to post 16 leavers as well, sixth form, and the community that we serve. I sort of teach locally as well. Sport plays a huge role for those young children, not just in the sort of aspirations and trying to better themselves playing professional sport, but also it gives them a sense of belonging, a sense of community. It gives them the skills that they need for later life as well, so developing resilience, developing the ability to sort of take on life's challenges and overcome them, but also just some, you know, especially for young girls, I think it gives them confidence in terms of body image and acceptance within society as well, because I think a lot of young people don't really know where they fit in, and I think for young girls particularly, but also for young boys, when they have that identity through sport, then they know where they fit in and they know their sort of place in society and how they belong.
Right, thank you. Dean, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree totally. I think we spoke earlier with some of the people that's got interviewed that it's had a huge effect on me personally. I grew up, my state's a deprived area. It would have been very, very easy for me to probably go off on the wrong path in terms of just the lack of things going on here, but rugby kept me on the straight and narrow. My whole family comes here now, my daughter plays, my brothers have been here, my parents come here. So rugby as a sport network, or this rugby club as a sport network, has been exceptional for me, and I can never speak highly enough of it.
Great.
And I think for young people as well from, you know, deprived areas, sport has given us lots of opportunities that we wouldn't have had maybe without it. So I know, you know, we speak about this quite a lot.
Yeah.
You've been to countries you never would have been to,
yeah.
Experiences and events that we've been to, and we've been able to take Harper. I know Harper's dance group is particularly serving a really deprived area, and they've raised in the last 6 months something like £17,000 to ensure that those young children, mostly girls, which is nice to see in sport as well, but to ensure that they get to go to the British Dance Championships. Not only is their ticket paid for, transport up to Blackpool as well, but also kit and things that maybe are the added expenses that we don't think about when, you know, our children are involved in grassroots sports. So I think that's been brilliant as well.
That's great, isn't it? You know, that crossover between sports and arts and performance. You know, we want to see more of that. What do you think needs to change really here in Wales for us to see more of that and make sure that communities like the one here in Maesteg and the ones that you're involved with actually can thrive and don't have to keep struggling? Chloe, any thoughts from yourself on that?
I think funding hugely matters. For a lot of the sports clubs that are around this area, they heavily rely on fundraising and sort of making do with what they have, and I think a lot of the families around here haven't got the funding themselves, and they haven't got the sort of spare expenditure then to put into sport. And for a lot of young people that might mean they're not actually involved in sport because their parents and families can't afford for them to be involved. So I think funding would be a huge one. I know locally, like the removal of the rugby development officers in schools has been a big thing. I know from my school how influential that person was, and actually our school has kept him on as a member of staff because we value him and his role. And I think if we're going to do it right, we need people like that in the jobs, making sure they are having the impact with the young people.
Yeah, so just to add to Chloe's point, so I was a WIU hub officer. That was my role for 5 years in Pencoed Comprehensive and Underground College. They're pivotal, not just as rugby coaches or sports coaches, but as we're speaking about now, like mental health and just a support network for young people to. So like we've interviewed a few young people today, and I think well, from my own perspective, my rugby coaches had probably as much of an impact on my life as family members, and they were role models, they were people I aspired to be, but they were like confidence as well, the people I would trust and go to with issues. So I think children need these sports coaches or other professionals in their lives, because it's more than just being on the pitch.
So final question for me is, we talked about, you know, sports and arts and, you know, its effect on groups of people, but it's true, isn't it, that you know, when you think of sports, it's not always about active sports and running and everything like that. There are perhaps people who can't do that, but what do you think about trying to make sure that we have those sorts of activities in place as well, you know, for older people, for example, Chloe?
Well, I know a friend of ours, he plays walking football for Wales, and we've seen great success with that. I know recently there's been a walking group that started around this area to try and encourage people maybe who are not particularly focused on like a team sport or an individual sport, but just to get everyone active and healthy, and I think that's brilliant. I know as a woman then who's in sport, I had to give up a lot of my sport when we had children and things like that, because my role changed and my time changed. But even just through Harper being involved in sport, that's really helped me come out and socialise within community groups and things as well, and I think a lot of other mothers potentially as well feel that way, that it's allowed them to network and it's allowed them to develop friendships and to socialise with others. So I think it's about the whole community coming together through sport. It doesn't have to be being that involved in sport yourself, or you are the one playing rugby or football or netball, but just the way it brings the community together and helps everyone socialise and feel better about themselves is just really good for us, and it's something we've experienced as a family, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something I'm hugely passionate about, is Harper being provided the same opportunities that I had growing up. But like Chloe just said, that counts then, and other volunteers and everyone getting involved. So Harper plays football, myself and Chloe coach. Harper plays rugby, myself and Chloe coach. Like Chloe's involved with the dance committee. I'm sure there's plenty of other things that we haven't spoken about, but it gives people a purpose and it gives people a role. Just again, coming back to the rugby club, there'll be men and women involved who've never played rugby in their lives, but they're maybe physios or photographers or even just supporters. So Saturday afternoon we're playing home and the youth are playing. This place will be full, and it'll be an opportunity for people to be around other like-minded people, which is it's a great thing for our community.
And we've heard as well about the effect that being active and being part of a community has on mental health, on, you know, your kind of emotional well-being. So just to finish off on that, any reflections, Chloe?
I think for me, sport growing up was a big part of my identity, and because of the lack of facilities and because of the lack of opportunities, particularly for women in sport, a lot of that changed for me, and my identity was taken when I went into motherhood or when I went into having children, because I had to stop playing sport. And I think looking at funding into sports facilities and things like that, so for instance I played netball, the leagues require a 2-court venue really to function properly. There isn't one around here, around this area. So for myself, I would be going down to Senedd or maybe down to the LC in Swansea, and that's where I was playing sport. But I wouldn't be coming home until 10:30 or potentially down to Cardiff, and then it'd be 11:30, and then trying to get up and get back to work the next day is really difficult. And in the end, you know, a lot of the people who played sport my age, who are now mothers and wives and things, they've given up playing. Whether they go back into the system through their children is obviously a nice way of going back into it, but it stops people getting involved in lots of aspects. And I think for me, that was something I struggled with, and I think if we had the funding, I wouldn't have had to have stopped playing netball, and then that sort of identity crisis wouldn't have happened for me and for lots of other women particularly, I think, as well.
Good points, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think sport gives people a home, and it gives people a family, as we've spoke to lots of people this morning, and that's definitely what it was for me. It's where I found other people who were exactly like me, who I trust and I understand, and they understand me as well. I would encourage more and more sports. It hasn't got to be rugby, it can be any sport. More and more sports clubs, because it gives people an opportunity to be around other people that feel like them, they look like them. I think that's really, really important.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Jeff and Marianne. Thank you very much to Chloe, to Harper, and to Dean as well for sharing your thoughts on that this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.